Hello, everybody. It's Reed Tracy, the CEO of Hay House. Welcome back to the Business and Writing newsletter. And today we have an awesome guest, Patrick Gentempo, and his new book, Your Stand is Your Brand, which is a very interesting concept. We've had a lot of different people that we've talked to and got a lot of different concepts that can help you with your business, but honestly, this might be the best one. So, all of you listening out here, it's a different approach, Patrick, that you've taken here, but it's also, I believe in it. Like, obviously, Hay House, we're kind of a poster child for your stand as your brand, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we go through. But welcome, Patrick. How are you doing over there? I think you're in Park City, is that right?
So yes, I am now in Park City, Utah. I'm originally from the East Coast, New Jersey, just outside of Manhattan. But we moved to Park City about 4.5 years ago, full time. We've been coming out for some years visiting. And it occurred to me that it might be a good idea to live where other people vacation. And it's worked out pretty well. If you're a skier, there's a lot of snow out there right now. And at the time of this recording, but great place to raise a family, great place to live. So yeah, here we are.
And so you wrote the book Your Stand is Your Brand, but you've really kind of practiced it in your life over the last several years or many years. I think you like started out being a chiropractor, is that right? And then why don't you tell everyone a little bit about your backstory so they can understand why they should be taking notes when you talk later?
So yeah, so my story, I guess, in a nutshell, is I did start life as a chiropractor. I was an athlete in my teenage years. I had injured myself, went to a chiropractor, and it literally changed my life. So I decided there and then I wanted to become a chiropractor. Got out of school, was in practice for some years, and was busy in practice. But I felt there were some holes in the assessment side of what I was doing, and ended up co-developing diagnostic technologies, which I ended up getting patents for. And next thing you know, I found myself as an entrepreneur in business, and I ran that company. It was a diagnostic technology company, and we also did a bunch of business training and other things as a part of what that company did. And ran it as its CEO for 23 years. I sold that company about 9 years ago, and then with my wife formed a holding company called Action Potential Holdings. And most of our activities, or a lot of them, are in healthcare. But if you could believe it, most of my activities now are doing docu-series films. So if you'd asked me 5 years ago, would I be in this type of a business, I would have said, I mean, it would make no sense to me that this is where I'd end up, which is really what makes life interesting and business interesting. But sure enough, here's where we are. But along the way, there are many principles that I had been learning, many times the hard way. Sometimes, things were pre-thought correctly in the beginning and put into use. But what I have found, and I think what the book is based on, is understanding that a lot of times people take a very pragmatic approach to business, and there's no doubt that anytime I got pragmatic in business, it turned into pain in the long run. That when I found things I was passionate about, found things that I want to take a stand on, even though they are many times polarizing, that this usually created and yielded the best outcome. So one of my areas of severe interest, where I've really focused a lot of my life, has been in the realm of philosophy. And what most people miss is the fact that everybody has a philosophy. As a matter of fact, every business has a philosophy, whether you know it or not, whether you identified it or not. And the practical application of philosophy in life and business is literally, I believe, the most powerful tool to transcend barriers and create success. And not just from the monetary standpoint, which I think is really important, but also from the spiritual aspect. Business, to me, is one of the most spiritual practices that one can enjoy if you're doing it from that context. Meaning, when you have philosophy and you have purpose and you have values that have been developed, and you're expressing them in the purest form that you possibly can every single day, and it translates into impacting other people's lives and profits and enriching your own life, there's very few things that I can point at that can bring that level of spiritual fulfillment. And I know it doesn't happen when maybe you're staring at spreadsheets and analyzing the business in such respects. But from the fundamental standpoint, when you understand philosophy, its branches, how to apply them, how to develop values and purpose, put them on the ground, and have that create financial success and have impact in the world, that to me is a spiritual experience that can go on for not just years, but decades if you're doing it properly.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that a lot of people watching have a passion that they want to share with the world, whether it be coaching people to help them improve their lives. I know for Hay House, it was founded by Louise Hay, and it's all about. She didn't found Hay House to make a lot of money. She founded Hay House to help a lot of people, and that's really been our success. You know, help improve the quality of life of a lot of people. That's exactly what she wanted to do. Like if you would have interviewed Louise, she said that's what she would say. Like I just want to help the people. And once I started helping the people, I couldn't stop the money. That's what she always used to say. Like as long as I was on my spiritual path of helping people, everything came in. As soon as I started thinking of other things, then the struggles were. So it would bring her back to her path. And I think that's in alignment with what you're saying. And one of the things when I was looking through your book, getting ready to talk to you, I thought was an interesting point that you made was that knowing who you are and what you stand for is more important than what you're going to do or what you're going to sell. And I would love to hear you expand upon that.
That's really accurate. I mean, the foundation for your stand as your brand is exactly that. It's so often, and I've spoken literally not in hundreds but thousands of seminars. I've given presentations all over the world, and many times it's to business people and entrepreneurial groups. And what I find is that when people are facing a challenge or a struggle, they're asking the question, well, what do I need to do? Do I need to do this or do I need to do that? I mean, think about it. Something's wrong or something's a problem, or maybe it's even just ambition. I want to double my business next year. Or maybe in a non-business sense, I want to improve my relationship with my spouse. So the question that most people ask themselves is, well, so what do I need to do? And I often, when I'm communicating or consulting with people, will say, you're asking the wrong question. The more primary question is, who do you need to be before you know what to do? I can't tell you what to do because I don't know your values. I don't know your purpose. So all this strategic stuff or maybe even tactical stuff, which is important, is something that needs to be understood or it's an area of exploration. But you can, I guess I'd give this analogy. Let's say that we have 10 businesses. They all need better marketing. We teach them all the same marketing strategy the exact same way, and they apply it the exact same way. You recognize they'll get 10 different results. It's not the strategy that gets the result. It's not the procedure that gets the result. It's who the person is doing the procedure that gets the result. So as I like to say, it's the who before the do. How do you find the purest expression of you? If you can imagine that every day you're living sort of a semi-false identity. Nobody's totally false, and it's very rare that people get totally pure. It's usually something in between. But can you imagine every day for years and years and years that you're going to work every day, you're leading people, you're doing whatever it is that you do in your life, and it's not really an aligned or a congruent expression of who you are and what you really think and what you really think about. See, if other artists try to do Miles Davis's music note for note, it's never going to be like Miles Davis. We're taught very often to model success. And I realize that if you're lost and you need something to anchor to, it can be a starting point, but it is completely unsustainable. You really have to dig in deep inside and express in the purest form possible your innermost values, your innermost art. I believe everybody, and I do mean everybody, has some form of beauty and genius inside of them. And for the vast majority of people, it's unexpressed, or it's, at best marginally expressed. But when you can get in and find, for the metaphor, the purest form of the music that's inside of you, and then work to express it outwardly without contradiction, without interference, then what happens is magic happens in the world. You've taken your stand based on the purest form of who you are. And now when that gets expressed out in the world, a brand is created around that, and the right people show up for the right reasons in a sustainable way. And now business for you is not just a way to make a living, it's also a spiritual experience as you're expressed in the purest way possible every single day, and that translates into prosperity and profit.